Greetings, Cancer and Cancer Rising. This is your Western forecast for July 2024. Well, the sun is in Cancer, the new moon is in Cancer. There's two big themes. All these energies with Cancer, which you're going to be feeling very personally and directly, but also Mercury, discerning, curious, decision-making Mercury, goes into Leo, into the second sector past Cancer. The second is cash flow and income, and Mercury could be all these negotiations to make more money. Now, the new moon in Cancer is on the 5th. This is where your attentions are now focused. And that new moon in Cancer, in your first house of visibility, new beginnings, will stay strong for those next 4 weeks to the beginning of August. And this new moon is in harmony with business stabilizing Saturn. So it's really good for establishing some long-term business projects. And with the sun in Cancer, the first 3 weeks, but the new moon is holding it into the first week of August, there's certainly some new ventures, opportunities, new beginnings, feeling more confident, feeling more visible. Now, the new moon is on July the 5th. If you have a birthday around the 5th, but more like the 4th, certainly the 5th, the 6th, if you're older, it could be the 7th, but that day or two around July the 5th, if it's your birthday, it means when I do a solar return chart, a chart where all the planets are on your birthday, and this solar return chart is describing those overall trends for just those 12 months. To have your birthday on a new moon, which may only happen every decade or two, does not happen very often, it portends some important new opportunities, new directions. Right before I decided, and it was so much like destiny because I didn't plan it, on just several days after my birthday many years ago, where there was a new moon, is when I started to do astrology readings. So that's this powerful new beginning, and it's impacting me for a lifetime now. So if your birthday's around July the 5th, and that new moon is with stabilizing, grounding Saturn, this could be bringing in some important new opportunities and directions. But the other opportunity is Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will be in Leo in your second house of income. So all these new beginnings could be around new jobs, increasing your income. Now, before I break all this down and how it will apply to you, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find direct links to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer. Now, Mercury is what you're thinking about. What are you planning? What is on your mind? It's in Leo, in your second house of income, July the 2nd to the 25th. It's very favorable for transactions, negotiations. That Mercury will also be joined with creative, harmonious Venus from July the 11th to August the 4th. In fact, Mercury-Venus, Mercury the communicator, the negotiator, Venus could be cooperative, charming. It's a very benefic energy. Mercury-Venus is good for writing, but when we're talking about it being in the second house of income, could be very favorable for negotiating business deals, because the Venus is seeking more of a win-win, cooperative, charming negotiations with the Mercury. Now, the Sun is in Cancer the first 3 weeks, but on July the 21st, it goes into Leo for those next 4 weeks. So that's where I'm saying there's these two main themes. The first house, new opportunities, new ventures, new beginnings, new visibility. The other big theme is money, cash flow. So this could be very favorable for launching a new business, new work projects, getting a new job. Now, Mars is going into, well, it's in Taurus the first 20 days, once every 2 years. And it's been moving through from in June, once every 2 years, in your 11th house. The 11th house can be dealing with teamwork, associates, networking, and with Mars, you could be very ambitious, assertive, to try to achieve your long-range goals, and that goes to the 20th. But on the 15th, Mars is that warrior, fiery Mars, is going to align with unpredictable, liberating, rebellious Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus once every 84 years for about 7 years, and every 2 years, Mars will be in Taurus. So on the 15th, maybe the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, but around the 15th of July, every 2 years, Mars with Uranus, there you might be watching on the news, on TV, about some volcano exploding or some major accident, or it can be very explosive energies. But hopefully it's not about tragedies. Maybe it's about demanding personal freedoms. That's the Uranus. Mars is the demanding. And there could be a lot of protesting with that Mars-Uranus. And that Mars-Uranus is in your 11th house. So there might be some really explosive, but also very exciting energies, opportunities that's being offered to you through friends, getting involved with some kind of group dynamics. But then Mars goes into Gemini on the 20th, every 2 years. And it's there till September the 4th. When Mars is in Gemini, it's in the shadow sector, or the sign prior to Cancer. Now, because the first house of new beginnings, the second house of income is so strong and dynamic, then the Mars in the shadow sector is more, for most of you, will be, all right, you got the big opportunities to make more money, to start the new business, all that new beginnings of the first house money, the second house. Now Mars in the shadow sector is, now you got to do the work. Maybe you got this big deadline, this big offer, but now you got to buckle down and produce. But there's really good news, because if you've been listening to my videos, I've been talking about Jupiter, prosperous, lucky, protective Jupiter, a 12-year cycle, moved into Gemini in May of 2024 through May, 1 year, of 2025. But from the end of July through August, with Jupiter in Gemini, it's also being fired up with Mars in Gemini. Mars Jupiter can bring a lot of lucky work projects, but in the 12th house. So to me, because of all that other new beginnings and visibility, I think that there's a major opportunity that's coming in, and you now have to do the work. Now, the full moon is always 2 weeks after the new moon. And that new moon, if your birthday's around July the 5th, there's certainly an important new direction. But for all cancers or cancer rising, this is the time of the year about initiating new projects, new directions. 2 weeks later, whatever those seeds of intention for new undertakings, the full moon starts to reveal what's working and what's not working. That's around the 21st. Now, this full moon is at the last degree of Capricorn. Capricorn's the opposite of Cancer. So even though it's at the last degree, it's still impacting your 7th house of partnerships and marriage, all kinds of important relationships. But because of these major new offers that are trying to come in, I would think the full moon around the 21st, from the 20th to the 23rd especially, could be a contract negotiation or an offer or committing to go into a business partnership. But this full moon is two other things that are going on to describe the full moon, which is just generically bringing whatever's to light, revealing what was started 2 weeks earlier. But this new moon, or this full moon, at the last degree of Capricorn, is in harmony with idealistic, dreamy, imaginative Neptune at the last degree of Pisces. So the full moon in your 7th house of partnerships and contracts, in harmony with Neptune, you could be feeling really euphoric, idealistic, and hopeful. But there's more, because also on the 21st, will be decision-making Mercury squaring, forming a hard angle to Uranus. That could just basically mean having to make unexpected, sudden, that's Uranus, decisions, Mercury. But with the full moon, excellent with Neptune, I think most of you will be on a real high. And it could be the offer, the contract, the partnership, but now you've got to, produce. And was one example, trying to think off the top of my head, you could be getting a job in entertainment and for acting or music or the theater. And now you got to go through the end of July through August. This is just one example. Now you got to go through all the rehearsals. And then going into September is when Mars goes into Cancer. It's like you're being shut out of a cannon, you're on stage. I hope you've been doing your work, because now the curtain is rising at the beginning of September. But there's all these exciting opportunities coming in now. But with that Mars, with ambitious Mars, with protective lucky Jupiter, both in Gemini, this is really fortunate for a lot of development, research behind the scenes, or rehearsing for a movie, a play, a musical. So I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.go. That's .co. Until next month, be safe and well.